Hey guys, we just got back from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think the final film in maybe this trilogy. James Gunn is now the head of the DCU, and this may be his final film in the MCU. I guess we'll see. But this film had a lot to live up to because lately the Marvel universe hadn't been so hot. You know, some kind of stinkers or disappointing films. A lot of people putting everything on this film to save the MCU. I was just looking at this to, give us a great story.
I was just there for entertainment.
A great ending to this trilogy of characters that, frankly, are some of the best characters in the MCU. Most well fleshed out. And so, should you go out and see Guardians of the Galaxy 3? I say yes. I thought it was an excellent film. Now, obviously, if you haven't seen 1 and 2, then maybe go see those first. But I do think that 3 is a worthy follow-up. And I'm still trying to decide because I really enjoyed the last one. I didn't think that it could make me feel some emotion, but that one did. And I gave it a 10 out of 10, the previous one. It just got to me. And you know what? Frankly, this one got to me too. Okay, anytime we're talking about animals, I think the heart of this film is obviously the backstory to Rocket Raccoon. It's also, I don't know if it's about behind the scenes stuff. People maybe, are characters coming back? Is there going to be a character death? All these different things. We'll talk about all that in the spoilers. For here, we'll just give you what we think of, how the film turned out. And I think it is excellent. I think James Gunn loves these characters, knows his formula by now. The whole, tape recorder that's playing all the fucking songs that everybody likes, and in the middle of battles and stuff. It has impressive action. There is one action sequence. It's a hallway fight that I think is worth the price of admission alone. That was really fucking impressive. So you take that, and then you land sort of this... you stick the landing, basically, and it's a high degree of difficulty, and I think James Gunn did it, which makes me somewhat excited because, obviously James Gunn is in charge of my favorite character now, Superman, and so he does so well. He's done so well with, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Is it just that's his lane, and then, or does he understand, DC characters and Superman as well? Like, are we going to see motherfucking, songs like he does in Guardians of the Galaxy in Superman Legacy? I have to know that he understands, but that doesn't matter because he definitely gets the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's his own. He's put his stamp on it. And I love these characters, and they were done justice. And I do think you should go out and see this one. I really enjoyed it. So go ahead, one of you guys.
I am with you. I love this film. I was super entertained throughout the whole thing. Didn't feel like it was long. It had emotion. It had a heart to this, and everybody was being like their chemistry was amazing. And I still love Mantis and Drac.
Dude,
their
that continues from the holiday special.
I was about to say that
watch the holiday special. It's worth it as well. And Joe said it doesn't feel long. This is actually the longest, but it doesn't feel super long or it doesn't overstay its welcome.
It doesn't. I was entertained throughout the whole thing. I thought it was great, and I think if this is the last one, it was a great send-off.
Yes.
So I loved it.
Yeah, there are 2 after-credit scenes, so stick around for that. We'll talk about them in the after-credits. Alex, what did you think of Guardians 3?
I liked it. I think it was a bit of a mess. There's a lot going on in this one. I really, really love the first one, and I really like the second one, too. I just don't think that this one... It's weaker than the other 2. Ultimately, still enjoyed it. I think the action's there, but like some parts of it, watching it almost feels like a parody trying to do James Gunn, because I think that he really ramped up the use of music in this one. There's so many more songs in the other one, and it doesn't feel as well integrated as the previous ones. Where when he played those songs, it fucking fit and it felt good and it got me excited. There was some of that definitely here, but there was also times where they're playing songs and it's like, man, I don't what are we doing here? Like, this song doesn't quite
I don't
fit
really
them.
like the Beastie Boys. Joe knows this, and so I'm like, please stop. But for me, a lot of the songs actually hit. I actually like a lot of these particular songs.
Yeah, I think the difference is in the previous two, like, I think all of the songs for me hit. And this one is just like, this doesn't feel as well integrated as the previous ones. He really loves the fucking spinny cam, where the cam is just spiraling out of control, or like just spinning, or like spinning around them in one way or the other, and just like, it's like, dude, fucking stop it. But I really like this. I do like this movie. I just don't think it hit the amazing highs of the first one. The first one came out of nowhere, characters that I didn't fucking know, and it turned out to love them. And the second one really hit you with like the heart, especially at the end. And this one has some of that stuff. It doesn't feel as finely polished as the other two.
The heart mainly comes from Rocket Raccoon's backstory, and that one got me. I was actually tearing up in the theater. I know they're CGI animals, but just anything with animals, it gets to me. So your mileage may vary there, whether you think it's more touching or less touching than Yondu. But as the roster has grown in the Guardians of the Galaxy, that difficulty has gone up. We even see Sylvester Stallone is in this for a little bit. Doesn't get much to do, but that doesn't matter because all the characters that were added to the main roster, they are expanded upon. They are, focused on. They all have their individual segments, and it really kind of ties up a lot of character arcs very nice and neatly. You would think Drax, who is supposed to, at least in the comics, is supposed to be the destroyer, Thanos, didn't really get that moment, but he does get a nice sort of bow here. Mantic gets her thing, Nebula, everybody really gets their own thing. And you can tell that, I don't know, well, I don't want to say that, I would talk about it in spoilers, but it's like a few characters feel like their stories can continue. And, even though James Gunn may not be in charge of it because I don't know what his contract is like. Maybe DC will loan him out to do more Guardians, or maybe he's like, look, I'm tired of Guardians. I want to do something new, but I just think he did justice to the characters, and everybody had their moments. The action is great. There's the stakes are high in the sense that it's not another beam in the sky that we've seen with a lot of hero movies. This is a more personal journey, especially tied to Rocket Raccoon and saving their friend, and potential character deaths and stuff. And I think, superhero movies kind of have lost focus a little bit, and this one has the focus where the focus needs to be. So, really enjoyed that. Now, so those are all the strong elements. What are some of the weaker elements? Alex said in my little weaker elements. I felt,
for me,
Adam Warlock.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For me, Adam Warlock just seemed like really unnecessary.
It feels like James Gunn was
just,
written into a corner. Maybe that was Kevin Feige, but like, all right, I want you to set up Adam Warlock, and he's going to be a big threat in the future. And then James is like, and then Kevin comes in. All right, he's not a big threat in the future. Don't worry about him. And it's like, well, now you created a problem for me because I set him up, and okay, well, I'll put him in the film.
Kind of seemed like a doofus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if there are Adam Warlock fans out there that, he's an older character from the 60s and 70s, very highly tied in with the Infinity War. He's helped drives that. Didn't get anything with Thanos. He fights with Thanos, fights with Magnus and some fucking space church and shit. His comics were, they're from a different time stuff. But it wasn't like this. He wasn't like he was here. Here he is like, he's not what you expect. He's kind of comedy relief,
but we didn't
kind
need
of on the side.
We didn't need the comedy relief because
Right.
I think James Gunn has a thing with humor. He gets to have these emotional moments, and he has comedy relief. He piles on the tension in the scenes, and then he gives you that relaxation later on, and you get to smile while you got a tear in your eye. And Adam Warlock was completely and totally fucking unnecessary. Completely fucking unnecessary. He didn't drive any point. points, and there were characters on the screen at all times that could do exactly what he did.
Yes.
And like, he is kind of the thing that starts this whole journey off, but that could have happened in so many different ways that it doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in the spoilers, what exactly he does. But I think maybe James Gunn felt obligated either from Kevin or actually the comic books, because this the main villain of this film is the high evolutionary, he is experimenting, looking for the perfect being and creating the perfect being. And honestly, in the comics, that's tied in with Adam Warlock, because he is a genetically modified super being as well, being a sovereign, and the sovereign essentially were created by this particular being. So what did you guys think of the villain here?
I actually like this one a lot. His acting was great. I believe his motivations, his performance. So that's something I get behind, as opposed to
he's a great actor.
He wasn't over the top or just doing stuff doing stupid stuff. When he did, it was just like him being super greedy. He's like trying to create the perfect thing, and he was like super focused. And I believed his motive, even though it was kind of dumb at the end.
Yeah.
Chukwudi Iwuji is his name. I probably butchered that and got it wrong. I kept thinking to myself, why am I recognizing this guy? I've seen this guy before. I like him. And it turns out he was in DC's Peacemaker as the team leader. Which there is a cameo by somebody we thought was fucking obvious, and it's like, Jesus Christ. I'm just gonna come out and say it in this particular. No,
it's fine.
Yes, James Gunn puts his wife in it again.
Sam Raimi does the same thing. A lot of directors do that. It's Quentin Tarantino with the
what I'm
Sam
saying
Raimi and Bruce Campbell, and it's James Gunn and his brother and his wife.
And his wife and his newly wife, his girlfriend first, now his wife, and the girl he liked, and now the wife. And I'm like, motherfucker, I know who the fuck is gonna be in Superman, right, Joe?
She's gonna be Lois Lane.
She better not be Lois Lane, god damn it, but she's going to be in Superman. She's got to be in all his films, I guess. All right, but anyway, sidetracked. So, Alex, what about the villain for you?
I think he was really solid. I like the actor. I like a lot of the situations. There were some kind of things really kind of ham up the situations because it's a comic book movie, and you can't have him, destroy a whole planet, even though you could destroy a whole planet all at once, to drive up tension. But there wasn't a point where I was sucked out of the movie. The suspension of disbelief was there. Thinking about it, it's like, that was a little dumb, but it's like I was fine when I was watching it, and so I think that's a success.
Okay. And there's a lot in here, and so it could get a little bit messy. There's a few moments in the film like, wait a minute, I'm not. How does that work? I gotta talk with somebody who knows about space. We'll talk about it in the spoiler scene, but nothing that took me out where it's like, no, I'm out of here. I'm on board. I think everything, just the visuals. This is what James Gunn does best, which it's cosmic, galaxy, bright colors and interesting. Unique locations, color palettes. There's a fucking organic, station thing with motherfucking, one of my favorite actors. I'm not going to spoil. We'll talk about it. And it's a surprise cameo. And in these armor suits that are just ridiculous. It's very interesting, his designs. And I hope this does transfer in the future into the DC where things will brighten up a little less superhero movies like this killing and darkness. This is
I kind of want him to do like a Superman like Christopher Reeve was whenever he was Clark Kent. He was kind of funny,
I'd like to see a return to that.
Something like that.
And it does look like James Gunn capable of that. And maybe with Superwoman, we can go into the galaxy and see the crazy cosmic stuff that he does so well here in Marvel. I just thought it was pretty solid. Now, do you think that this is a better villain than Ronin or a better villain than Ego? What would you guys compare to them?
I would say this is good for its element. Like the other one were bigger threats. This is just like kind of more contained, and like we said, it's more of a Rocket Raccoon's story and kind of like a revenge plot.
So it's
thing
more
with
of
it.
tied in personal.
It works. Yeah, it works for me.
Personal stakes.
Mm-hmm. I think that the bad guy's motivation works. I mean, Ego ended up having like more emotional moments. I think that you're feeling more specifically with that character and then what's going on.
Right.
And this
being somewhat family, it's tied into Peter Quill. This one more tied into Rocky.
Yeah, I mean the other movies were super hyper focused on like one storyline, and I think this one has a lot more going on because we've got flashback sequences, we've got the side thing with the Sovereign, and there's a lot of other things going on. So we didn't really get to focus on the bad guy, which was a shame because I actually liked him so much.
Yeah.
So,
and another thing is, the bad guy. Gamora we're still dealing with the fallout from what happened in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, where Gamora is dead, but she's not really dead. This is the different Gamora, and her relationship with Peter is somewhat explored here. They did. And I think they did it naturally. It doesn't feel forced, and I think that the little arc that they go through, this side plot works, and we'll see. If you guys think it works, because I think it works. This is not a. Thank God they don't do something stupid like a fucking love triangle or something dumb with some love story. This is just the right amount to not sort of derail the entire film. But, yeah, okay, so we got a solid villain. We got a solid backstory. We got some interesting personal stakes. Everybody kind of gets their own moment to shine. Groot, it gets an amazing moment that we'll talk about later in spoilers, but you've seen him in the trailer going off with a bunch of guns and stuff. And everybody gets something and kind of comes into their own, and I think it definitely sticks the landing there. We could talk more about it in the spoiler section. So let's go ahead and give it a final rating.
I'm going to give it a 9.
All right.
I really enjoyed this film for the movie purpose. I went out there, had a great time with it. I enjoyed it. It had a lot of emotional scenes for me. It was nice to see Rocket's kind of his backstory and see what he was keeping from everyone else from the team.
Yeah.
And it was a good send-off with everyone else.
Great send-off.
Good action scenes. Great CGI.
Some teases at the future, potentially.
I'm okay if it's done.
You go done.
Yeah.
You don't need Guardians of the Galaxy 4.
Nah.
Okay.
Nah.
Yeah, it's a good send-off. Okay.
Yeah, I was going into this thinking that I just wanted, this is the end for the Guardians team. Like some of the characters are going to come back because they need them in the never-ending content machine. But if James Gunn's going away doing something else, I wanted satisfying endings to all the characters, and we got that.
Yep.
It was a pretty focused story. I do think it was a little messy. I do think that his use of music wasn't as good as before. Some of the humor and some of the tension, they have a lot of little infighting that goes on. I don't think it was handled as well here. But, ultimately, I liked where we ended up. And, I don't know, 7 or 8. I'm going to go with an 8. I'm always soft on comic movies, and I do think that there's a lot of good emotional moments that'll make you feel stuff. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I am going to also go with a 9 out of 10. I think, I think the previous Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I like some of the emotional moments a little better, a little tighter story focused on, some interpersonal relationships. But I really do like Rocket Raccoon. I like this backstory. I like this villain. So it's another really solid one. This is a franchise where the movies don't get fucking awful and worse as we go along. They get, just great, good in a different way, better, bigger, badder, more badass. One might have a little more heartstrings, one might have a little more action, one might have a little bit more, character study and exploration, and then obviously the final. If this is the final in this sort of Guardians trilogy, it's solid. And, I would buy a Blu-ray box set of this and watch them back to back, and then that's when I can actually tell you, okay, I know for sure that this one's my favorite. So, yeah, we liked it very much. So now, so go out and see it. Let's go into the spoilers now in the spoiler section.